Hello and welcome. Today, we bring you the story of one of history's most mysterious and terrifying chapters. We hope you enjoy this story and learn something new along the way. So let's begin. The mere mention of Hitler's name sends a chill down the spine of people across the world. How did a failed painter from a small town become such a dangerous dictator, one who plunged the entire world into the fire of war and consumed millions of lives? Adolf Hitler was born on April 20th, 1889, in the small Austrian town of Braunau am Inn. His father, Alois, was a strict and discipline-obsessed government customs officer. Hitler's childhood was spent under the shadow of this strictness. On the other hand, his mother, Clara, loved him intensely because her first 3 children had died in infancy. There was always tension between father and son. Hitler was an average student, but from childhood he harbored a desire to become an artist. After leaving school, he tried to gain admission to Vienna's prestigious Academy of Fine Arts, but was rejected twice in a row. This failure was a deep blow to him. Around the same time, his mother passed away, and Hitler was forced to wander the streets of Vienna, homeless and penniless. It was here that the seeds of his hatred toward the Jewish community were planted, seeds that would later grow into something monstrous. When the First World War began in 1914, Hitler found a new sense of purpose by enlisting in the German army. He displayed bravery on the battlefield and even received honors like the Iron Cross. But Germany's defeat in 1918 shattered him. He refused to believe that the German army had actually lost on the battlefield. Instead, he believed that politicians and Jews had stabbed Germany in the back. This belief ignited a fire of vengeance within him, one that would go on to alter the course of history itself. After the war, Germany lay in ruins. The Treaty of Versailles imposed heavy reparations and humiliating conditions on the country. Economic devastation, unemployment, and runaway inflation turned ordinary people's lives into a nightmare. In this environment of despair, Hitler joined the Nazi Party, NSDAP, in the early 1920s. His speeches carried an almost magical power. He gave voice to people's pain and convinced them that all of Germany's troubles were caused by Jews and foreign powers. Gradually, he became the party's most influential and dominant face. In 1923, Hitler attempted to seize power through what came to be known as the Beer Hall Putsch in Munich. The plan failed disastrously, and he was sent to prison. But this prison sentence turned out to be a blessing in disguise. It was here that he put his ideology into book form, Mein Kampf, or My Struggle. In this book, he openly wrote about his theories of racial superiority, his hatred toward Jews, and his dream of making Germany great again. This book later became the Bible of Nazi ideology. After being released from prison, Hitler changed his strategy. Instead of relying on violence, he decided to seize power through democratic elections. The Great Depression of 1929 broke Germany's back, and amid this atmosphere of despair, the popularity of the Nazi Party soared. In 1933, Hitler was appointed Chancellor of Germany. The moment power was in his hands, he revealed his true face. He weakened parliament, banned opposition parties, stripped away freedom of the press, and created the dreaded secret police known as the Gestapo, which crushed any voice of dissent. By 1934, he had become Germany's all-powerful dictator, the Führer. Once his power was secure, Hitler gave wings to his military ambitions. He broke the terms of the Treaty of Versailles, rebuilt the army, and annexed parts of Austria and Czechoslovakia. The major powers of the world largely ignored him rather than stopping him. But in September 1939, when he invaded Poland, Britain and France declared war on Germany, and thus began the Second World War. In the early years, Hitler's army rapidly conquered large parts of Europe. France, Belgium, Norway, and several other nations fell before him. But during this same period, he began carrying out one of the most horrific crimes against humanity ever committed. On his orders, millions of Jews, Roma people, disabled individuals, and political opponents were sent to concentration camps and brutally murdered. This genocide is remembered in history as the Holocaust, in which approximately 6 million Jews lost their lives. It remains the darkest and most shameful chapter in human history. But arrogance and overambition led Hitler to make grave mistakes. In 1941, he invaded the Soviet Union, which proved to be his greatest strategic blunder. Russia's brutal winter and fierce Soviet resistance crushed the German army. Around the same time, the United States also entered the war. Slowly, the tide began to turn, and Germany started retreating on every front. By early 1945, Germany's defeat was certain. Soviet forces had reached the outskirts of Berlin, and the city was being reduced to rubble. Hitler hid in his underground bunker, broken and despairing. On April 30th, 1945, rather than accept defeat, he took his own life, along with his wife, Eva Braun. Just days later, Germany surrendered, bringing the Second World War to an end. Hitler's story stands as history's greatest warning. It shows how hatred, arrogance, and insatiable hunger for power can turn a single human being into the most terrifying villain humanity has ever known, and how millions of innocent lives end up paying the price for it. Thank you so much from the heart for reading this detailed story. We hope you found it informative and worthwhile.